Hello everyone, this is Mike from NotCasuals, and in this video I am going to show you how to farm super loot on your own solo in Dungeon Defenders. Now first of all, some people might not know what super loot is, so let me explain that real quick. Super loot is basically gear with the godly prefix that has higher maximum upgrades than normal loot. Whereas normal loot might have, say, 30 upgrades or so, super loot can go much higher. Personally, the highest I've gotten was 46, but I have seen one with 50 upgrades. So you can see how this is much better than normal loot. So obviously you'd want to get your hands on that. And the reason to solo it, obviously, is you don't have to share it with everybody. You get all the loot and you get all the XPs, and it's easier and faster because there's fewer mobs. Super loot is obtained mainly through survival on Insane. After wave 9 in survival on Insane, super loot starts having a chance to drop. At that point it's kind of a low drop rate. After wave 16, however, the drop rate gets much higher, and by the time you get wave 25, it's dropping all over the place. And it's possible that maybe the further you're in, the better the loot. I'm not sure. I haven't seen a direct correlation yet. I don't know. But I can tell you this. By the time you get to wave 20, you've got a lot of really good loot. Personally, 20 is as far as I've gotten. And the reason for this is not because I could not get any further. It's because my inventory was full with super loot. And it was late. I was tired. And yeah, I just basically I let them destroy my stuff and left. This is something you need to take into consideration before you farm super loot. It does take a very long time. Survival on Insane is a long journey. I mean, it's going to take you a couple of hours at least. So, make sure you're ready for that before you jump in. Because like I said, you have to get at a certain point before super loot starts dropping. So if you don't even have time to get to that point, you're kind of wasting your time. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a monk, a huntress, and a squire. All of them spec'd into towers. Now, I'm not sure they have to be 70. Mine were, but they're wearing kind of crap gear for the most part. So really, I think you can get away with maybe a little bit lower level, and pretty crappy gear, as long as you've got your stats in the main stats, and the right stats, and you've got the placement down. So let's do this. First of all, the map we're going to do this on is Alchemical Laboratory. The main reason for this is there's no ogres in this map, and there's no wyverns, and it's just generally more manageable. So we're going to do that. So Insane, survival mode is important. I recommend personally, the way I do it is I start at wave 1. There's a couple of reasons for this. The main reason being that, well, it's easier. It gives you more mana and more time to get your stuff set up, get your base groundwork done, and honestly, like the first few waves, they're pretty quick. So it's not going to make it that much longer for you to get to you. I mean, what's a couple of minutes compared to a couple hours, So I recommend starting at wave 1. So let me just show you the stats real quick. For the squire, you're going to want all health, all tower health right here. The secondary stat is going to be base damage. And if you have any extra points and you've got those two maxed out, you probably want to put the rest in defense area of effect. That's the basics. That's what you want. Like here, I messed up. I'm not maxed out. The maximum points now in the stat is 100. So I could fix this to make it more health and more damage. But like I said, it's really not necessary. I've gotten there with these stats. Not a problem. So that's for the squire. Okay, now nice little giraffe. I know what you're thinking. That it's not leveled up. Really, it's not that impressive. It's not going to make much of a difference to what you can achieve without it. So, all right, Monk. Monk, you're going to want tower health, tower damage, and tower radius. Not necessarily in that order. You want tower health and damage to be evenly spread out, and you want a decent amount in aura radius. Not too much, but a decent amount. If you can max them out, if you got a level 70, go ahead, max them out, put the rest in aura radius, be a happy guy. So these are the first traps I'm going to lay down, or auras. You're going to want lightning auras to be as close to the spawns, the back spawns, as you possibly can. So you're going to want to put them right in the middle here, on the edge here. And there you go, there's one. Go drop down another. Like this character right now is not even built for tower damage. I've got some points on the giraffe, but that's about it. I was playing him as DPS monk before this, so like I said, you know, don't be intimidated. You can do this with crappy stats. It's not a problem. Now, I'm going to switch to my huntress, which is also a trap huntress. Same as the monk, essentially, you know, tower damage, tower health, tower damage, and you know, the rest in either trap radius or trap reset speed. Personally, I recommend trap reset speed because it's important that, you know, if an assassin or warrior, whatever you want to call them, one of those badasses jumps you, you need your trap to be ready to go off. Otherwise, you're in trouble. You know, this is very important. What I'm dropping here is proximity mines, and the placement is very important. Because what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to drop barricades right here, right in the back of the corner, so that they don't get targeted from the hall there down the stairs, right around the corner right here. And I'm going to want proximity mines to be right on top of the barricades, or a little ways in front of the barricades. The reason for this is because later on, your barricades are going to be your safe spot. These are where you're going to be repairing and healing yourself. So you want this right here, right around here. This is good. This is your last line of defense. Usually what's going to die to these proximity mines is going to be warriors slash assassins slash dual wielding bastards that run at the speed of light. Those are the guys that are going to be a biggest problem. Next up is lightning fields right here. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place them in such a way that you cover as much ground as possible, and you want your field to end right where the barricade is going to start. Basically, you want a field to end right on top of the barricade. You can see at the bottom right here, like you can't put them much further down because of the spawn here. So this right here sounds about right. Drop them right there. Now on the first wave, there's going to be a few people that might get through because they're immune to lightning or they're immune to fire. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go on a DPS character. If you don't have a DPS character, take your highest DPS character. Probably the easiest would be the Huntress if all of them are towered. That's not a big deal. So here you go. Now, wave 1. I'm going to speed up the waves so that you don't have to sit through it. Basically, what I'm going to do here is just look for stragglers. So the first time I did this, you should know that the character I was fielding during the waves was this character, a Countess. She was level 50 at the time, wearing absolute crap gear, and I had no problem doing it. So, you know, don't worry if your DPS isn't too high during the waves. Get the blast defenses in place. This is very important right here. You're going to want, this is how I do it. There's other ways to do it. This is how I do it. It's gotten me to wave 20 without effort. I put cannonball towers as close to the wall as possible in the back. As soon as it gets green, you lay it down, you turn it around. It gives it maximum coverage, maximum range for it to do its thing. And the reason I like cannonball towers is because they have a knockback, and that's going to help them a lot when you're talking about enemies that move at the speed of light and have massive amounts of HPs. And also, cannonball towers are pure physical damage, which means they, resistances don't affect them, or immunities rather, and that's great because I tried this with traps in the back and towers, and I was having a massive problem with later on in later waves with immunities being a problem, where they would just walk right up to them, bash them down, and yeah, that was not good. Next up is the barricades. We want them to be placed right around the corner so that they don't peek out of the corner, because there's going to be a lot of necromancers sitting around here casting, 7,000 skeletons and nuking the hell out of your barricade from away and not walking into the traps we're going to put here, and that's bad. So you want the barricades to be just a little way back, just enough, so they don't get targeted from down there. I'm going to place them in the middle so that they cover everything. Now here you can see my proximity trap is going to cover me if I stand here. It's going to cover me if I stand in the back here. And that's going to happen. So this is good. That's all we needed the squire for, folks. We can move on to the other classes. Now for the important part, the huntress traps. These are going to be doing, other than your lightning traps, going to be doing most of the work. You're going to want immolation trap right around here, as close to the corner right here as you can. But you don't want to be wasting area of effect by putting it here. You want it to cover as much ground as possible. So right here, that's perfect. And now the second part is you're going to want the stun trap, which is number 7 here. And you're going to want it to be further back than the immolation on both this side here and this side here, because you want the mobs to walk into the fire and activate it before they get stunned. The stun is a nice little kind of fail-safe here if too much stuff gets in. The reason we set up this so defensively, and we're going to have a strength drain later on, is because this is where we're going to stand to heal ourselves and to repair this. Refill the traps, refill the auras. We're going to stand right in this corner right here, and we're going to be pretty damn safe. I haven't had much of a problem at all, even with half a dozen warriors jumping on my face later on. If you're standing in that safe zone, you're safe. There's a reason I call it a safe zone. And back on the monk to put down some snare auras. Alright. Now, here, this is very important as well. What I used to do, and this was a mistake, is I used to put down the snare aura right here, right on top of the spawn, same place as my lightning field. This was bad for 2 reasons. First of all, it gets right as soon as they walk out of that immunity field, they're snared. And that's going to clog it up. It's going to slow down the spawns. It's going to cause a huge choke point of monsters. They're going to be spawning in the back, summoning, skeletons and all that. You don't want that. You want them to get out of their spawn. You want them to be slow, but you want them to get out of their spawn. So what we really need this for is to help our little cannonball towers in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them right around here, but a little ways away from the spawn right there, just so they don't clog that area up. And you want them to be able to walk to the left side, and here you go. So you do the same thing on the other side. You can use the shelves here as a reference point for where to drop them. I drop them right about between the shelf and the pillar, and a little ways towards the middle of the first shelf. That's about where I drop it, right here. And then obviously the snares right here, right on top of the lightning fields. This is alright, as close as you can, right here. Now I know I said, you don't want them to clog up right outside the spawn, but here you're going to have a lot of mobs coming down from these stairs, and it's going to be a lot of mobs here no matter what you do. And you do want them to be snared so they can take maximum damage from the lightning traps. It's not really gonna cause a problem like it is on the other spawns down there. Also, you're gonna have most of the warriors / assassins are gonna be coming in right through this. You're gonna want those guys to be slowed down for sure. You'll notice my auras are covering right up to here, which is my safe zone. So if a warrior is standing right here trying to attack me, it's cool. He's still in the snare aura. That's good. And now here's important, the strength drain. You're going to want it to be as far up here in the middle as you can. As you can see, it covers both of my barricades perfectly. This has two advantages. First of all, it means that if anything's attacking the barricades, like the warriors for some reason, if I'm dead or whatever, they're attacking the barricades, they're not going to be attacking them quite as hard. And also, again, save zone. I'm in the drain. They're in the snare. On top of my stuns and all this beautiful stuff here. This is why I call this save zone. They're really going to have a hard time killing you, even if you have a little bit of a lower level, even if you have a little bit of a lower health. Unless, of course, you're on an apprentice with no life, then you're going to get massacred. But, don't be on an apprentice is the only tip I can give you for that. So here you go. That's my basic setup. I've got everything I need. Yes, lightning. Yep. Here you go. That's my setup right here. I'm missing one thing, but I don't have enough mana for it. And that is an Enrage Aura. And I tried putting them in different places, but the place I found most effective was right here. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's got a lot more advantages than disadvantages, though. You'll notice that if you put it here, there's this whole area here where they're not in any auras, not in any traps. They're not going to be taking damage. And you might think, it's going to slow it down, and it is going to slow it down a little bit. But that's actually a good thing because, first of all, they'll be fighting each other, so they will die a little bit. But Necromancers are going to like clog up here with a ton of skeletons and all that. But the good thing is, the warriors are also going to get stuck in the Enrage Aura. That's a great thing because warriors fighting other mobs or warriors that are not fighting you. And the whole slowing down deal is great because it gives you the option, if you choose to repair here, heal up, whatever. And then once you're done with that, once you're done repairing and everything is fine and dandy, you can just come in here with your DPS character and just clear them all out. And then they'll start flowing again until they clog up again. But I found it was good rotation to repair everything, come through here, kill everything that's clogged up, go back to repairing, rinse and repeat. It's very safe. I've tried it without the Enrage Aura, not a good thing. At later waves, it becomes a problem. At later waves, you just get overwhelmed, or I did. Like I said, I was not wearing the best gear in the world, but why make it harder? And you control the pace if you put down an Enrage Aura there. You control the pace, nobody else. So that's good in my opinion. So that's the basic setup right here, and that's kind of all you need to know. But one little last thing is probably the order in which you want to upgrade things. I personally recommend upgrading the cannonball towers as fast as possible because you want them to be attacking as fast as possible. And not, you don't want any big orc to be getting all up in there and killing it. That would be very bad because that's your only defense there. And the main reason why we're getting away with that is because warriors are not going to go that way. You're going to be, for the most part, standing up here, repairing, fighting. Warriors are going to go straight for you always, so they're not going to go in the back. So that's not going to be a problem. Just one little thing I forgot to mention is, and that's my bad, is normally what I want to make it easier, especially if you have lower gear, especially if you're a lower level, is an engineer. The reason for this is because they have an AoE repair, and so while you're healing yourself and repairing stuff, prioritizing your repairs, the engineer is going to repair everything else. It's great for repairing traps, refilling traps. It's great for that because he's not going to repair them like at the first point of damage that they take, but he will keep them from falling to zero, and that's very important because if your traps die, you're screwed. So don't let your traps die. So like I said, right here, as far up as you can, because of the spawn here, it's limited to right around here. So that's where we're going to put it down. And here you go. Alright, one thing you're going to want, though, even though I keep saying, you can do this with low levels, is you're going to want to have at least one character capable of taking your stuff to 3 stars. Upgrading everything to 3 stars is very important. So you're going to need one character to be high enough level to be able to do that. You might be able to make it to, to super loot without 3 stars, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't know how hard that would be. Ideally, you really want to have 3 stars by wave 16, because things start getting a little bit hardcore by then. So that's about it. I hope this helped. This was Mike from NotCasuals. Please leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.